Today's Sunday School lesson is entitled, for September 11th, is entitled, God Chooses the Younger Twin. God Chooses the Younger Twin. And we all know about sibling rivalry or even the popular TV series Family Feud, that with family there's always some confusion. And among the young people in the family, there's always seems to be some type of competition. And in today's lesson, we're going to see that even though the younger person is chosen, it was already in God's divine plan. Now, this is a much discussed lesson down through the ages where people take different sides on what could have happened and how it should have happened. But we're going to have a little short discussion on it, and it's God chooses the younger twin. And our scripture is found in Genesis chapter 25, verses 19 through 34. And they read, Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to his wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Pandaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she was to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in the tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sought pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and partridge of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. God chooses the younger twin. Now, we often hear the discussion about this lesson, but we see here that Jacob and Esau were twins, but they were not identical twins. Even when Rebekah, their mother, was pregnant with them, they struggled inside of her body. At one point, there was such a battle going on in the womb that she even asked the Lord, if I'm supposed to have this, if this is supposed to be a blessing, what is happening inside of me? And then the Lord answered her and told her, there are 2 nations growing inside of you, and there'll forever be a struggle between them. That the younger child would rule over the elder child, and that one nation would be stronger than the other nation. And the Lord did explain it to her what to expect. And actually, when they were born, Esau was born first, and he came out. But even at the birth, Jacob was holding to Esau's heel. And we see, as it talks about, Esau was a hairy man. He was red in complexion and ruddy. He was a man of the field. He was a hunter. He and his dad identified well because his father was a hunter, and they had that in common. Whereas Jacob was more of a man that loved being close to home. Some people called him a mama's boy, but he just loved being close to home. And because he was always around the house, he learned the things of the house. And his mother felt closer to him because she was with him most of the time. But we see here that on one of those days, Esau came from hunting and he was hungry. He said he was so hungry he was about to faint. He said he was so hungry he thought he was at the point of death. Now, this lesson's showing us, too, how sometimes we take our blessings for granted, how sometimes we throw away things that are important, things that the Lord is blessing us with. We sell God out, we sell ourselves out. Sometimes it's just for temporary gratification. So we see here that when Esau returned from the field, he told his brother, if you'll give me some of that food that you're fixing, some of that partridge that you're fixing, give me something to eat and drink. I'll give you, well, he didn't really start off saying, I'll give you my birthright. But Jacob, being shrewd, said, if I do this, I want you to sell me your birthright. Well, at the time, Esau said he was so hungry, he agreed. He told Jacob, okay, I'll give you my birthright, or I'll sell you my birthright for this food. And he did it. And Esau ate to his pleasure. But then Jacob wasn't satisfied. He says, I want you to swear, because I want you to keep your word that I'll have your birthright. And Esau agreed to it. Now, when we think back over this, we can see how later there's going to be friction over this thing about this birthright. Because with the birthright, it comes the inheritance, it comes the major blessings. But because Esau was willing to give up his birthright for a temporary pleasure, Jacob prevailed. And God had already predicted to Rebekah that the younger son would rule over the older son. Now we all see how this is setting the stage for a family feud. See you next week as we look deeper into this story. Because remember, our subject this whole quarter is talking about the fact that God chooses Abram's family. And we're going to see that this was not a family of perfect people. It was a family with struggles and disappointments and crazy things happening. But God still knows it all. God is still in control. See you next Sunday.